Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another season of the UK&I Monday Night Skip Barber series here on RaceSpotTV in association with the Calm Zone. The first round of the season will be at Summit Point Motorsport Park in Summit Point, West Virginia in the United States. It's fairly average track temps today, 85 degrees on the track, 78 in the sky. Partly cloudy, so I think we're in for a good race. We have 58 people signed up for this. I believe it's 57 drivers actually going to take the grid, and qualifying is over, so I believe we'll go straight to your starting grid. On pole position, Benny Simonsen over a whole tenth quicker than Simon Edwards. Lee Hughes in third, Ewan Pattinson in fourth, with Tom Bridle in fifth, SJ Dunning sixth, Jack Bladden in seventh, Jack Hobbs in eighth, Adam Miles in ninth, Lee Anderson in 10th, and it's Clark Williams, Nicholas von Roberts, Anthony Catt, Simon Maltby, Martin Booker, Sarah Savage, Mark Langford, Dave Kirkman, Dave M. Dowson, Michael J. Taylor in P20, and the rest of the results are up on your screen. The 1 second bracket for today is 23rd place, and Rachel, yet another season after an outstanding final with a crash coming to the last lap. How do you reckon this race and this season will go?
Well, we start off with Summit Point, which is of course a fantastic track that always lends to more exciting racing, and I guess we'll have to find out what happens. Of course, we actually called the wrong result at the end of last season based on the points we saw. It was Patterson, but we believe we owe our congratulations to Lee Hughes for taking the championship after those drop weeks were applied. But ready to go racing here.
Yeah, it's gonna be a smashing race here. We got about 30 seconds for the last few cars to get on the grid, and cars lining up all the way back out into the final corner here. So here we go, engines are revving, and the green flag is out. Let's see if Benny Simonsen can get a good launch here to start off the season. Simon Edwards going to move in behind him, and the first about 8 cars looks like they're going to be single file side by side back there. Edwards goes around to the outside though of Benny Simonsen. Is he going to make a move around there? I don't think he is. They're side by side behind him for 4th and 5th as well, but Benny Simonsen is going to lead it through the first turn. Now we have a crash. Go on, Rachel.
Yeah, a little bit further back in the field involving Mark Langford there. This was about 17th place, and it was the guy that came up the inside of him with not very much room. The 0-1 there of Matt Hannigan, Matt Hannigan comes up the inside, gets a wheel-on-wheel contact and turns them both sideways into the grass on the infield there, causing that initial first corner crash. It wouldn't be Summit Point leaners without a little something happening in turn 1. It is one of the trickiest ones, of course, we have on the track as they head down the chute.
Yeah, we can see massive stack up back here in the field. Everybody doing a great job as we have another car going around. Now that's 2 cars actually, 42 and the 18. That's Will Redford going off alongside the 18, who is, see if I can figure that out. That was Phil Yates going off on lap 1 as well. But everybody doing a great job getting through there when they all stacked up. So coming already to the end of the first lap, it's still Benny Simonsen leading Simon Edwards, Lee Hughes and Ewan Pattinson in 4th for now, as we're going on board here with that would be Clark Williams. Is it further back in the field in the green car? They're running in P11 currently, so see what he can do here. You see the leaders now coming down into turn number 1, and Simon Edwards is actually drafted past Benny Simonsen going down that straightaway way before the braking, so we see a lock up there as well. Gonna go a little bit wide, but he's going to get sideways, and that's going to take everybody out.
Absolutely.
That was Lee Anderson, I think.
It was, in fact, in front of Lee Anderson. It was Anthony Catt, I believe. The 27 machine there of Anthony Catt got himself a little sideways after running wide in the entry. 94 came up the inside, Jack Bladden there, and caught a bit of that dirt and gravel in, as you'll see what happened there. Goes sideways, and you saw Clark Williams there, had no option to avoid it. He collided with the car of the 252, Nicholas von Roberts. Both of those guys going sideways there. A couple more cars catching bits and pieces of this. Thankfully, most able to avoid things, but that got messy really fast.
It really did. So Williams, Roberts and Catt all out of the race straight away, so that's not the start of the season they all wanted. Anthony Catt obviously a championship contender as well, but back to the front we see Benny Simonsen here right on the tail of Simon Edwards, who is going to lead the end of lap number 2. 18 laps around here today, so still a long way to go. You can see them all going in the gravel there. Here we go. It's going to be Simonson up the inside, and he's going to clear it. Well, he's going to get up ahead of Edwards anyway before the braking point, and he's going to clear him as well. We got Lee there looking as well to try and make a move, but he's not going to move up the inside, is he? No, he's not. So Benny Simonson to the lead. Simon Edwards down into second position. Lee is right there, though, having to defend a bit from Pattinson, but holding on to that position. SJ Dunning back in fifth has dropped back slightly with all those incidents, but these first 4, 5, 6 cars have broken away from the pack, and they've all spread out behind them.
Yeah, they certainly have. Keep an eye right now on Sam Maltby and Christopher Miles here, the 87. Actually, no, that's Michael Taylor who just got behind him. They're heading towards the chute now before down to the wagon wheel, and just ahead of that group as well, we have, I believe, got a bit of action going on here between Kirkman and Dowson. Looks like Kirkman runs a little bit wide there as they get in towards the S's. The trickier sections here at Summit Point. I find that, especially the car, it's the back and forth. Those curves are pretty huge, but then you have a nice straight shot up towards the paddock corner, and it makes things a lot easier for the drivers. But this track, there's so much runoff-liness, and a lot of it goes straight into the trees. This place does have a very old-school feel about it, and it really does feel like a track in a different time period with the way everything's laid out, of course. But as we look a little bit further forwards, we are seeing that changeover once again. Edwards going back towards the lead from Simonson. And I think we're going to see this every lap. It's that huge straight here, really permits the drafting. As we've got a spinner in front of your leaders. There goes, thankfully, off the racetrack, as Edwards will take the lead again. I'll try and find out exactly who that was for you.
Yeah, they're just going to keep switching back and forth, but so far they've not been able to make that pass before the start-finish line, and that is the critical point coming to the last lap. And like you said, Rachel, there is a lot of runoff around here, but there are not a lot of barriers, so the track is definitely out of its time, so to speak. They will go straight into the trees and fly off the surface of the earth if they're unlucky. So that was apparently Vaughan Roberts having another spin there that we saw in turn 1. Thanks, Rachel, for clearing that up for us. But the leaders now, there's 6 cars in under a blanket here. The battling at the front, down the front straightaway, has let the the 5th and 6th car there of Dunning and Tom Bridle to catch up. So 6-car battle once again, but so far it's only the front 2 that keep switching position. We see Leyus having a look at the end of the straightaway every lap, but he's not able to make a move as we come out of the final corner here yet again. See what Simonson can do. He's gonna get really close. He's gonna have a look. Here comes Leyus, so he's gonna force him to the outside this time. Leyus has a look at the inside of Simonson, but he's not gonna have any room to get inside of Simon Edwards. Simonson is going to hold it around the outside this time, and here comes Pattinson on Leyus as well. So Simonson to the lead. Pattinson is going to get around Simon Edwards as well. You see he gets a bit too wide though. Edwards has to run on the inside, so they're side by side now, 2 by 2, and they just disappear behind some trees. Here we go. Edwards is back in the lead. If he can pull around Simonson coming around this left-hander, he's definitely going to hold on to that lead. And behind him, Leyus is going into gravel. Pattinson is going to get an advantage, but somehow Leyus holds him to that 3rd place as they're coming down the chute, down into the carousel.
Yes, certainly are, and it's a big pack there at the front. We've got some battling throughout the field on this one so far today. I think we just saw a moment there for Williams, who's a lap down at this point in the... We've got another car just heading off the track there. We'll try and identify who that was for you. 81, I believe we just had go around there. I think there are lap cars. Tony Stack on the outside of the wagon wheel there. We've had multiple cars getting involved in things here, Linus. It's definitely a very busy race today. A lot of guys having little moments, but we've got some great racing going on. A lot of 2x2. Alan Patterson right now just behind a battle here between Blake Hood and another car. That would be the 45 machine of lap down. I will find out exactly who that was for you again, but that was the 45 there with Blake Hood.
Daniel Tubbs.
A little bit for, yeah, Tubbs, there you go. Ahead of them is Mod Kiko, and we've got Mark Redford, who's been in the series a while. We've got the Redford as well, don't we? I think we might actually have a potential relative Redford.
Yeah, he crashed out on the first lap, unfortunately. It was in that incident, so we're not going to see too much of him today, I don't think, but hopefully he can be a regular in this series, as we see at the front here. Once again, that move down the straightaway, Simonson taking over the lead, and Leyus holding off Pattinson still for 3rd place. So the only positions that are really changing is the front 2. And as you can see here in the distance, there are laps cars coming up, and there are 2 that's coming up very, very quickly. That's Mark Van Dalen and Matt Hannigan. they are only a couple of seconds ahead of the leaders. So I would say by the end of the next lap, we're going to have some issues coming up for these leaders. Let's hope those lap cars will get out of the way nicely, as Edwards has to look already down this straightaway. I don't think that's going to work for him, but he's going to try and set him up, see if he can get that move done before the start finish line this time.
I think he'll try, but I'm not sure whether or not it'll be that effective for him. I mean, I think it'll be after the start finish line, but the big telling thing here, Linus, is can you get past in time? As he comes up alongside him.
Nope.
No. Oh, yeah, no, he doesn't do it. So it's going to be really tight to try and do this on the final lap, as we're going 3 wide there with Leah Hughes and Patterson. It was Patterson, in fact, there with Edwards and Simonson. Just behind them, Leah Hughes was involved there as Patterson brings his way up to second place here ahead of Simonson. You've got Dunning in the mix there, as well as Tom Bridle just at the rear of this group here. As a bit of a slope there by Simonson, looking to try and backtrack a little bit, get a bit of a head of steam as he looks to the outside there, out of the wagon bend, heading down towards the chute now. He'll try and find what he can. But going to stay in line for this one. It's a very defensive line early there by Edwards.
Yeah, it really is. And great move there from Pattinson, getting up to second, see if he can get that lead now. And for some reason, they're not really catching up to these lap cars ahead. They're pretty much just as far ahead as they were last lap. So I really thought they would catch up quickly, but I'm guessing this little bit of passing they're doing into turn 1 is slowing them down enough that the cars about to go a lap down will stay ahead. We'll see now. Here comes Pattinson behind Simon Edwards. He's not going to make a move into the final turn, which is good. And sounded like we just had a crash somewhere. See if we can figure that out. I heard it in the background somewhere. But here comes Pattinson. He's going to have a look. Edwards is going to block the inside cars coming out of pit lane. This is going to be carnage. What's Simonson going to do? He's going to try and squeeze between Edwards and the grass, but Edwards is going to block it. So Simonson to the middle. Pattinson on the outside. What's going to happen here? Edwards holds the inside of Pattinson. Still on the outside. Simonson kind of backed out, but he's still going to get second position away from Ewan Pattinson by the looks of it. Going to be a drag race here behind Simon Edwards into the left-hander up the hill. Outside is going to be preferred as long as you don't go into gravel. Way out over the curb, and here comes Lear Hughes, and Pattinson is about to drop back down to 4th position. Hughes up the inside. He's going to have to back out there to not make contact with Benny Simonson in second. So, sorry. Yeah, Simonson. So Pattinson might hold on to 3rd, but they're still side by side into the carousel.
Coming round as well as they can here, of course. They're still leading from Edwards back towards Simonson. Then it's Hughes, Patterson, and Dunning in that very, very front end. Just right behind these guys. Tom Bridle hanging with this group. Hasn't really been involved in much of the fighting. And yes, there are those lap cars ahead here of your leaders. And there's a spun out car there on the inside of the pit road entrance. Quite a few cars visiting pit road today. There's at least 3 currently on pit road waiting, as we'll see if there's a move here. See if there's this sort of separation towards the end of the race. It's going to be really hard for anyone to try and pass for the lead. You almost have to be right under the gearbox to have a chance to pass by the line. Never mind pass by the end, because you see here Benny just hasn't had a chance to do it.
No, I think Edwards is getting some draft from the lap cars there as well, though, so that's obviously helping. But to pass before the start-finish line, you're going to have to be making that move going through the last corner, so you're really going to have to set it up perfectly, which I thought Edwards did earlier, but he obviously didn't get it before the line, so that's going to be very crucial. Definitely want to be leading going into turn 1 on the final lap, so see how that plays out. Behind these leaders, though, we've got Jack Bladen, Lee Anderson, and Jack Hobbs racing hard for 7th position. And just as I say that, they start spreading out. So they were almost 3 wide there for a second, but they've still got Clark Williams right back there as well. So Adam Miles, sorry, in the green car. So this could definitely shape up to be a good battle towards the end. But for now, that is Jack Bladen holding on to that 7th position. So see now what will happen. Simon Edwards still leading the way. They're getting closer and closer to the lap cars. And what's happened to the 18, Rachel?
Well, no, back in 18th place, we're looking here at Paul Carey leading the way right now, involving a little bit of battling here with Chris Simmons there and Seth Brown just behind this group. Getting a bit of action on as they come towards the end of the lap here, moving their way forwards, trying to get a good fight. So this is down in 18th place, so we've got good fighting in this race all throughout the field today, actually.
We really do, and further back in the field, starting 54th at the back as usual, he's drove his way all the way up to 28th by staying out of trouble, is RaceSpot's very own Paul Smith. So he's had a really good race here. We got Paul Smith live from his gaming rig, looking like he's really fighting with that car through the corner. See where he's at on track at the moment. Actually, he should be on the start finish straight. So he's coming down into turn number 1. I don't think he can hear us, but if you can, hello Paul. Don't make a mess of the corner down here, please, because that would be terrible. But we have quite a few big movers actually. We've got in 14th position Andrew Baranovsky.
Stop.
Rachel.
Whoa. Benny Simonson off the track, and we also have Edwards out as well. This all happened in the wagon wheel itself. I am going to try and get this back because apparently my replay doesn't want to actually show me this, but Benny and Edwards both off the track here at the front. Everything has changed.
Let's see what happens here. It's Edwards moving up the inside. He runs into the back of Benny, and I believe that was Lee Hughes. Was that Lee Hughes who was leading ahead of him, or was he was behind him? So that was a lapped car in front of him that sort of messed things up, and Edwards just ran into the back of... No, that's the lapped car he runs into. I think Simon Edwards ran into a lapped car. That's very confusing. But anyways, Lee Hughes has taken over the lead now. He's got Ewan Pattinson right behind him, and then we have about a 1 second gap down to SJ Dunning and Tom Bridle in 4th, and then Lee Anderson has been promoted up to 5th, so it's a bit spread out here, but definitely these gaps can close up in a hurry, so definitely change things up. Benny Simonson and Simon Edwards, Simonson has dropped down to P number 9 and Edwards has dropped to P11, so they're almost still together on the track, but obviously way further down than they want to be, so very unfortunate. As we have another incident there around Simon Edwards.
It was just in front of him, yes. Oh, just behind him, sorry. That was the 34, I believe, who just went completely off the track there.
Steve Bird, he missed his braking point a bit.
Thankfully nobody else involved in that one there, as they'll all continue racing for the moment. As we'll take a look further. Oh, we've got Simon Muggleby here, back in 14th place here, racing around here with Baranowski. A 12 car there. Baranowski looking for an opening as he head into Paddock Bend, the final corner. Not close enough really to make a run. Might be by the end of the straight, but we're not quite too sure yet. As up ahead of them, side by side again, and I believe we had Edwards making a move there with Dowson, or another lapped vehicle there. That is the 26 machine of Dowson, who's in front of Edwards here. Had a bit of a lock up mid-corner, but trying to do what he can with this one.
This is almost like watching NASCAR at Bristol after 100 laps. A green flag, there's cars everywhere and you don't know who's on what lap, so it gets them all mixed up. But still, at the front, we got a battle again. It's Lee Hughes and Ewan Pattinson. Pattinson right on the back of him, so Pattinson looking for redemption for how that last season ended, where he crashed himself out coming to the white flag and gave the championship up to Lee Hughes pretty much. So starting the season off with a win by beating Lee Hughes fair and square would definitely be some kind of redemption anyway. So these guys have about a second and a half down to SJ Dunning, who has actually lost 2 positions. It's Tom Bridle up to 3rd now with Lee Anderson in 4th, and SJ Dunning's dropped down to 5th. And then we got Bladden and Hobbs right behind. So this is 6 car trainers. Ben Miles is back there as well, so massive battle for 3rd position.
Looking towards the lead here, Linus. It looks like Patterson might go for a move here into 1, although he is staying behind Hughes right now, just sitting in the draft, lifting off the gas there. There's lap cars ahead of them fight. Maybe the lead is a little bit shy after the incident we had a little number of laps ago, but staying in line there. Patterson just willing to run this one through the numbers, try and make it through the traffic, of which we have quite a lot today, and see what he can do with this one later in the race. Of course, we're up 13 now of 18, so a lot of time still to play with, and leading a lap here doesn't matter as much as leading the last one, so that will be, of course, on the brain of both drivers, as their gap has opened up now by 2.8 seconds to Tom Bridle back in the 3rd spot there, although he in fact is no longer in that position because Lee Anderson is now up to 3rd place, and we have a complete conga line from 3rd backwards.
Yeah, these guys are battling so hard. As you said there, they lost over a second on that last lap alone, and coming into lap traffic as well, that's definitely going to come into play for these guys as we're coming up now to 5 laps to go, and another lap car getting out of the way for the leaders. So this group back here from 3rd on back going to come over on 2 lap cars now, but they both got out of the way for the leaders, so shouldn't be too much of an issue. See now Pattinson trying to get that run on Lee Hughes. They don't need to work together to pull away from the guys behind because they're battling way too hard. Here comes Pattinson though, and he's not even going to try. He's just going to sit behind. Maybe he wants to be second, coming down the straight onto the white flag so he can make the move and be the leader. And it looks like he nearly got the grass there as well, but he's being very, very patient here, Pattinson, and they pulled away another half a second there as we see behind him. Anderson and Bridle are side by side. Dunning and Bladen are side by side. Hobbs is there as well, having a look. Ben Miles just sitting back there, so that's Tom Bridle now moving back up to third. And Lee Anderson, who started in 10th, is now back down to 4th, so he's had a good race so far. Yeah, they're coming up on the lap car, and he's moving well out of the way. Good job there. See if we can figure out who that was. That was actually D. Brown, so well done to him. Next lap car coming up is Ray Peasley, so see what they can do there. But Bridle obviously getting up into third. Anderson right on the back of him, so this battle is far from over.
Absolutely far from over, of course. This is probably the most heated battle we have there, as of course keep an eye there on Patterson and Hughes. Now looking back through the field, we definitely have a lot of clusters of cars working this thing so far. Seth Brown being one down here in the 19th spot at the moment. He's racing there with the 43 machine of Chris Simmons, and behind them they've got Humphreys and McGovern involved in this one too. Down at the bottom end of your top 20, and the action's still piling on.
There's, like you said, small knots of cars, 2s and 3s and some 4s all the way through the field as we have now. Pattinson is not going to hang about. He's going to take the lead here, and it is with 4 laps to go. He's going to make that move for the top position. Lee Hughes almost runs into the back of him there, but Pattinson back to the top spot now. See what he can do with that, and they still pulling away from the guys behind who are still in a bunch. But Pattinson up to the lead. Lee Hughes actually drops back a little bit. See, maybe Pattinson is quicker, but obviously just a couple of corners, so we'll have to see how that plays out. But Lee Hughes definitely not wanting to give this up, so have to keep an eye on this. But back behind him, all lap traffic coming into play. Anderson has moved back up into third place, and these guys nearly got taken out, all of them, by that lap car. Thankfully he managed to get out of the way. Bridle still working though on the back of Edwards, and Dunning is there. Hobbs, Miles and Bladen just switch positions as well, so man, these guys, I don't know if all of them are going to finish the race by the way they're racing right now.
No,
and behind them as well, Simonson is closing in.
He certainly is. Benny trying to work his way forwards after the crash before lap 10, as this group fighting hard here. Lee Anderson leading the group, but it looks like it could be Bridle that will try and take it back as they come out of the paddock corner. Your leaders once again going for the pass again here, as we're going to see Patterson going past, or Hughes, sorry, going past Patterson into one. It was kind of funny last lap, of course, because it was almost so Patterson parked it on the apex and forced Lee Hughes to lift, as now he's gone a bit wide this time, gone a little faster to the corner. It's given Patterson a chance to come back up the inside, although inside here is defensible, Linus. Outside is potentially just as fast, but you can't stay with him, so that's a moot point there, as the battle really heating up now in lap 16.
Yeah, he tried to cross over there, it didn't really work. You can see the cars coming behind her a good distance back as well, so they're not going to be a threat where Anderson, Bridle, sorry, took back that position. But Pattinson trying all he can now on the back of Lee Hughes, and we're coming to 2 laps to go. So is he going to be patient here? Is he going to wait until the last lap with the pass, or is he going to do it here and hope that he can hold Hughes back coming down the straight on the next lap? So just over 2 laps to go now, down the straightaway, down into the final corner, paddock bend, and we'll see what he's going to do. Back behind him, Simonson is close back up to that back, and he's actually starting to get involved, so he's not going to settle for 9th. See if he might be able to get all the way back up to 3rd. I doubt it, but it's definitely doable here to come down the straight. Pattinson moving in behind Lee Hughes. He tries to almost go into grass to pass him. It's not going to happen. He's going to move to the outside. You can see them back there side by side as well in the background. But for the lead, it's Pattinson around the outside. Lee Hughes holds the inside. He's going to hold it tight. They're going to be neck and neck. Lee Hughes has the better exit though. Is he going to be able to pull clear of Pattinson? I think you'd want to be second coming down that straightaway on the last lap, unless you can throw a block. But here comes Pattinson up the inside again. He gets the overspeed, and Lee Hughes backs out as he doesn't want to go wide. And Pattinson uses every bit of that curb to hold off Lee Hughes there. So Pattinson back into the lead with 1.5 laps to go.
It's getting very heated behind them right now in the second pack, as Dunning involved here with contact with Miles. Around he goes. Yeah, that was contact with Adam Miles there as he goes round, forces a blockage in mid-corner. Multiple drivers having a bit of a tap there, having to make major diversions out of the way as there's a bit of bodywork stuck in the car there. Unfortunate for him as Anderson still has bridle to cope with behind him. Simonson coming forwards again here, working his way ever closer. But it's the leaders who are going to be the really exciting part of this one, Lena. See where this one will go. Things going to possibly heat up here as it's going to be Hughes in second, defensive inside line, not going to pass by the line. So does Hughes really want to pass here? Because, I mean, well, it depends how close they are, but it could be the leader on this lap is the winner. It'll be hard to say.
Yeah, we'll have to see. Coming into the first corner now for the final time on Lee Hughes. He's going to clear Pattinson before the start-finish line. That's a power move. We're going to have to try and keep an eye on this and the battle behind him. Side by side. Oh, as we have a car going off there. That's Lee Anderson. No, it's not. It's actually Tom Bridle. He's going up, so he's going to leave that third position to be battled between Anderson and Hobbs. And Hobbs is going to take that over from Anderson as well. But we're going to try and keep an eye on the leaders here, I believe. It's kind of hard to keep track of both. But Lee Hughes holding the inside of Pattinson. He's going to just move across his nose there. Pattinson doing everything he can into the carousel now for the final time. They've got 4 corners to go. And Lee Hughes, obviously, as long as he can hold the ideal line, I think he's got this. But Pattinson, he might even make a move into the last corner if he can get a good run here. Coming out of the carousel, through the SS, down towards Paddock Bend for the final time. Here they come. Lee Hughes is going to go defensive from the very first meter of the straightaway. Pattinson getting in his draft, see if he can make a move into the final corner. He's going to take a wider entry. That might just set him up. He's going to do the crossover. He's going to get up next to him. Lee Hughes is not even going to use the curb. He's going to hold him tight. But Pattinson has the overspeed. They're coming to the finish line, and it's going to be Ewan Pattinson winning the season opener ahead of Lee Hughes by 31 one-thousandths of a second. And right behind him is 3 wide for third.
Amazing there.
Jack Hobbs beating out Lee Anderson and Benny Simonson, who got back up to 5th from that early crash. Holy, what a race.
Looking further back, still a lot of racing going on. Just had the finishes in 15th or so coming across the line. Side by side here, back in 18th place. It was momentarily with McGovern there. And I believe that's also going to be Humphreys just behind him. Humphreys will come in the preceding spot there. As still a number of drivers still yet to come across. We've got a bit of racing just up ahead here. Paul Smith going to come across there in 23rd. Just behind him, though, is Simmons and Redford. Oh, they come across the line as well, getting very close there as we had pretty amazing end to things as we coming. Rest of these cars coming across in semi-single file, as it were now. Close to each other, but not really in racing positions. So we've got a couple of double wides here. A late move, possibly, but no, not going to be enough there for the likes of Bangshin, Morris, and Bird. Fantastic racing. It's enough finish. You can see the corner set up there from Patterson at the very end. It's just the defensive line by Hughes was too tight. You saw at the last second Patterson went wide. He got the overspeed, and the apex just opened up for him as he arrived at the back of Hughes, and the rest was history.
Yeah, Lee Hughes, he was just being a little bit too defensive there going down the straightaway, and he got a super shallow entry into the last corner. And here you can see as well the 3 wide for third position. That's Hobbs just beating out Lee Anderson, and Benny Simonson, like we said, rebounding to 5th. But Lee Hughes, he was just being way too defensive into that final corner, and it gave Pattinson the run, and then he kept it way too tight off the corner as well. So Pattinson using the draft, using the better speed coming out of the final corner, and he's managing to edge him out by, like you can see, 31 one-thousandths of a second. So let's go through the post-race results here then. It's Ewan Pattinson with Lee Hughes in second, and the finish you can see there is Jack Hobbs in third, Lee Anderson in fourth, and Benny Simonson in fifth. Tom Bridle manages to beat out Adam Miles for sixth, and then Jack Glidden in eighth, Matt Cox in ninth, and Dave Dowson finishing out in the top 10. And you can see just how close it was there. We got Dave Kirkman in the 11th, Andrew Bernowski in 12th, SJ Dunning in 13th, Martin Booker in 14th, Simon Edwards falling all the way back down to 15th, just ahead of Simon Maltby, Paul Carey, John McGovern, Richard Humphrey, and Seth Brown finishing out in the top 20. The rest of the results are up on your screen. So see if we can we actually got a couple of people here already ready for interviews. So let's start out with our very own Paul Smith. Paul, that was a pretty outstanding race you had there. Passed more than half the field and a lot of carnage. Tell us about it.
Turn 1 was an absolute nightmare, if I'm honest, on lap 1. Just cars everywhere, and it was a case of picking a lane and just going for it. So that's what I did. Just went for the gap and went for it. And then I went and did a stupid mistake. In the last turn on lap 1, the cold tyres, I should have known better, carried too much speed and spun around, so I had it all to do again. I think I fell down to something like 50th by the end of the first lap. And then just working my way through. Luckily there was other issues for other people, lots of crashes, so I was able to make up a big chunk there. But I still had to make some overtakes, and if other drivers have got a slipstream, or have got damage, sorry, the slipstream is so strong through here, and really it was a case of picking off drivers where I could, sticking my nose in where sometimes it maybe wasn't wanted, but I certainly made my way through, and I enjoyed it. That's the main thing.
So, is there a special reason for always starting at the back, or do you just enjoy racing through the field?
It's fun. That's about it, really. It's fun starting from the back of the grid. It also helps you. I feel it helps me a little bit better in terms of my racecraft, because you're having to learn and recognise when incidents are going to happen, not necessarily reacting to an incident that's happened, but reacting to, okay, things getting a bit dicey up in front of me, I'll just back off a little bit, give myself a little bit of space, and then, right, I've got a gap, I can go for it. And I think that helps my racecraft along the way. And so, but mainly because it's fun. It's great starting from the back, especially here.
Well, thanks for joining us anyway. Anybody you want to send a shout out to?
As always, Team Mad, Overclocks UK, Fanatec, Calder Rescue, Immortal Models. There's plenty others as well. Go check us out. Mad Sim Racing on social media.
Well, thanks, Paul, and congrats on another good result. So,
thanks, guys.
Got Rachel standing by with Dave Kirkman.
Absolutely, thank you. And Dave Kirkman here. Started 18th today, Dave. Came home today in 11th. A fantastic race from what I saw from you on the track today. Nice and clean. Kept it busy. Kept it on the track, of course, which is the important thing here. Seems a few people forgot that one, but how was the race for you going?
Yeah, I'm totally screwed up qualifying. I was trying to warm my tyres up and I ended up beaching my car, so I lost my first lap. And I still did 3 laps, but the last one didn't count, and I would have qualified 12th if I hadn't been so stupid on the warm-up. But all through the practice, I was just practicing qualifying, trying to get used to the low grip. For some reason, I was really struggling with it. So I was quite pleased, actually, that I qualified in the top 20 for it. I knew I had the pace. If I was in the race, it was just getting up to speed, really. And then I had a great race with Sarah. We were working together really well, actually catching the guys in front. And then she just disappeared, so I guess her internet connection died. And then I had Dave Dawson behind me, and we were racing really well. And then in the end, Matt Cox came up behind us and kind of stole everything, put it 3 wide into turn 1, and I thought I better back out of that one. It was looking a little bit too risky, and I'm determined not to get involved in accidents this season after being a bit of a crash magnet in the last season. So good way to start the season, really.
Sometimes playing it safe can end up with great net results, actually. So fantastic strategy to go for, and hopefully you have a great rest of your season. We'll look forward to talking to you again. Dave, anybody you'd like to give a shout out to before you go?
I'll give a shout out to you guys. You always put on a great show for everyone to watch. I always watch the races through, even if I don't manage to get into the race. But yeah, just to you guys, really, you do a great job.
Fantastic. Thank you very much, and thank you for joining us, Dave Kirkman, coming on today in 11th.
Thank you, Rachel, and thanks, Dave, for those kind words. So, next week we are on to Circuit de Spa-Francorchamps for 9 laps of racing. So, any thoughts going into that, Rachel? Draft fest, maybe?
Do you even have to ask, Linus? It's Spa. It's going to be draft central, but you know what? That makes Spa special. not because it's draft central, but because it's a fantastic track. The undulation, the elevation changes being the biggest thing for Spa, especially in my eyes. It makes the racing exciting. It's a draft roller coaster, and it's going to be fun.
Well, it definitely is. It's next week, same time, same place here on RaceSpotTV. I've been Linus Brostrom, been joined by Rachel Whitefoot as always, and Hugo Luis doing the great work with the cameras. So hopefully you can join us next week. Stay safe and see you then. Goodbye.